There are 6 watchers around the well. Whatever's in there, those chains aren't for bringing it up. They're for holding it down.
2017's The Mummy is a reboot of 1999's The Mummy, which is a reboot of 1932's The Mummy, which is based on 1323 BC's Mummy. And since this time the adaptation is made by modern Hollywood, things work a bit differently. The hero is Tom Cruise, so his main course of action isn't to flee from the mummy, but more so to run headfirst into it again and again like it's a stunt. The mummy is a sexy mummy, so we're not scared of her as much as we want her to come suck out our life force.
Okay, it's worth it.
And I guess it's pointless for me to explain the quality of this movie since, after 7 years, it's common knowledge. The tone is pretty weirdly casual, the pacing is all over the place, the content is mostly blockbuster action, yada yada yada. That topic has already been dug up, so no point in me digging it up again. But in retrospect, the most interesting thing about this movie isn't the movie itself, but rather the cinematic universe it was meant to launch. The Dark Universe. See, this was Universal's answer to the MCU. Instead of superheroes, they were gonna build a shared universe of old-school Universal monsters, all your dad's favorites. They got a dozen high-profile movies planned and moving forward, and they assembled a once-in-a-lifetime cast that even appeared in the same publicity photo. I mean, look, here they are, in the same photo. And yet, just when the world needed this universe the least, it vanished. After The Mummy came out, all the other projects stalled and died out. Somehow, in addition to just being a terrible movie, The Mummy was also such a terrible launch into this planned universe that even a money-hungry Hollywood studio decided not to go forward with it. Which is weird, because this movie essentially has all the core cinematic universe elements that got the MCU going. It has star power talent as one of the central characters, it has amazing high concept material, and it also has a connective tissue to tie the universe together. Unfortunately, it's all these core universe elements where The Mummy fumbles most. Nobody cares to see this character with others. Nobody cares to see this high concept material with others. Nobody cares to see more of this connective tissue. It's a shared universe that nobody wants to see come together.
We don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
And so today, let's look at The Mummy through this lens to find out why that is. For everyone in Hollywood currently planning a new cinematic universe of video game characters, here's a couple crucial aspects to keep in mind. The first universe problem here is that the character personalities don't have enough unique edge to be able to connect to anyone else, like a puzzle piece without a shape. Let's for example look at the main hero, Tom Cruise, who, to be fair, is many things, just not very strongly so. He's an adventurer, always risking his life for the next batch of lost treasure.
What did I think? That's a lot of gold.
But there's no clue of what he needs treasure for. We know nothing about his life or what he spends money on or whether he already has money or not. He's a rogue soldier dancing around commands to do whatever he feels like.
Except instead of hunting for the enemy, you hunt for antiquities.
But his soldier career isn't really relevant here, not to mention that he's still bound to follow commands and authority. He's a womanizing, selfish jerk carrying inflated views of himself.
Miss Halsey and I did spend a delightful evening in Baghdad, a very long and satisfying.
15 seconds?
But he never really behaves that way on screen. He always steps in to help others. He never really puts himself above others enough to abandon them. And by the end, he turns out to be a pretty stand-up guy. For the most part, that's all he is. A guy, a square, a goofy Tom Cruise getting into sticky situations by way of circumstance. Which can at times be great because Tom Cruise is great, but in terms of creating a character meant to occupy a particular slot in a universe of characters, you know.
In theory, I know all about you. I'm your reconnaissance, decorated soldier, and page after page indicating a deep and troubling moral turpitude. But you see, this file contains nothing of any real value to me.
And the problem is that because this character doesn't have enough of a unique shape, it's really tough to even imagine how he would click together with other shapes. Like, if he appeared in a movie with Dracula, what would that interaction even look like? Dracula says that he has killed thousands of people to stay alive for centuries, and then Tom Cruise looks at him with a funny face.
Oh, yeah, I also slept with someone and then stole from her.
Like, I just don't know enough about this interaction's potential to have any excitement for it. I'm pretty sure that Tom Cruise's interaction with every monster character would be exactly the same. For comparison, what the MCU did really well is assign unique slots for its characters. There's a self-centered billionaire who learns to trust only himself, and there's a duty-bound soldier who needs commands to function. The personality shapes are so clearly different that it's exciting to imagine their interaction.
You better stop pretending to be a hero.
Like you? You're a laboratory experiment, Rogers. Everything's special about you.
The reason people want to see Batman and Superman interact is because one is despair and the other is hope.
That's enough.
I'm gonna get your fucking ass. You don't shut up.
The reason people want to see Spider-Man and Deadpool interact is because one is a teenager looking for an adult to teach him responsibility, and the other is the most irresponsible adult in all of fiction.
Go freelance like me. No rules, more fun, and money! Freelance hero sounds pretty good.
People want to see a collaboration only when the personalities involved are well established enough to make the collaboration intriguing. And here, that's just not the case. Characters don't have any real unique agency or motivation or background or shape of their own. Tom Cruise's sidekick is just a comedic sidekick there to scream funny things when stuff happens. The archaeologist is just an archaeologist who loves and knows everything about history for reasons never explained. Dr. Jekyll does have something going for him. He's an authoritative figure who would probably be at odds with someone like the Invisible Man who spits in the face of authority. But ultimately, there's not enough of him for anyone to care. Tom Cruise does turn into a monster at the end, but it's not clear what that means, whether he's always a monster or whether it's inside him. And in either case, that slot is already taken. Frankenstein is already a humanoid monster who needs to hide, so it would be the same shape twice. Dr. Jekyll is already a human with a monster hidden inside, so it would be the same shape twice. There's no point in these characters coming together.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
In essence, a cinematic universe consists of characters existing in it, and the only way audiences want to see them come together is if they embody different shapes that will create something new together. The second universe problem here is that the high concept material isn't specific enough to warrant a union with another source of high concept material, like a marriage between a man and a table.
What the?
As you may have already noticed, the hero doesn't represent any conceptual specialty of his own, no incredible gun skills or strategy making or anything of the kind. His only specialty in this movie is being Tom Cruise, which basically means that he gets into stunt sequences. He stumbles around in a folding plane without gravity. He drives a car down a hill and gets tossed out of it. He runs away from scary things chasing him. He dives into a bus that's flying toward him.
Wow! That was intense!
And the problem with this lack of conceptual specialty is that there's nothing Tom Cruise can bring into a shared universe to expand it. Like, okay, Dracula commands a swarm of bats to attack an army of enemies, and then Tom Cruise does what? Runs somewhere and gets into a dangerous stunt and survives by his ability to do stunts. That may work for his own movies, but it's not really a thing that can carry over to other movies.
What he's doing?
The only high concept value that this character represents is born at the end when he inherits the power of an Egyptian god, which is pretty much the same power as wielded by the mummy. And the problem now is not so much a lack of specialty, but more so a lack of specificity. See, the filmmakers didn't seem to have any clear vision of what the high conceptual elements here are exactly, so they just threw in everything. There are spiders that bite you to turn you into a zombie. There's immortality and hallucination and even teleportation. In essence, there are no clear rules or limits to what the mummy can do. She can steal your life force by kissing you and then control your dead body, as well as other bodies that she didn't kiss. She can command animals like rats and birds and bugs. She can make you see things to get you to go wherever she wants. And she also has incredible agility and super strength and swimming talent and the ability to control a force of nature. Altogether, there's seemingly infinite specialty in what the mummy and by consequence Nick can do, which on paper does offer a lot of potential. But in practice, the issue is that this specialty is so all over the place that there's no sense of how it would go together with other specialties. Who needs Invisible Man to go invisible when Nick can just teleport? Who needs Dracula to control bats when Nick can apparently control all animals? Who needs Frankenstein's muscles when Nick already has those muscles? Who needs a shared universe of movies when everything and more is already in this one movie? And once again, what the MCU did really well is divide its elements into specific regions. Iron Man represents the peak of human technology, Captain America represents enhanced human physique, Thor represents the godly power of thunder. All those elements are equally ranged enough, yet also different enough to make audiences want to see what happens when they come together.
Power at 400% capacity.
How about that?
Whereas here, that's just not the case. Most characters can do nothing special, some characters can do something special that isn't really explored, and one character seemingly has no limits to what it can do. How the hell do you combine that with anything?
How? How?
I don't know!
In the world of cinematic universes, nobody wants to see a marriage between two entirely the same or entirely different. They want to see a potato and a carrot, a cat and a dog, a combat marksman and a combat strategist. Different enough to bring their own value, yet similar enough to exist in each other's range. High conceptual elements across a universe should complement each other, not stack on top of each other or overpower each other. Equal yet different. That's what audiences are able to imagine in their heads and thus want to see. The third universe problem here is that the connective tissue tying everything together isn't really tissue as much as it is a tumor harming everything it connects to. Basically, that connective tissue here is not S.H.I.E.L.D., but rather a secret society specializing in
Evil. Recognize, contain, examine, destroy.
And while it can be very cool and all, the problem is that the society seems to be way bigger than this movie itself. More important and influential over what happens. The story doesn't begin with the hero or even the villain. It begins with the society. Random people randomly find this crusader tomb and then the society shows up to confiscate it, after which they explain the story of the mummy.
I have unearthed many ancient mysteries, and Armanet understood power was not given. It had to be taken.
The hero, he doesn't appear on screen until 9 minutes in. And even then, again, he has no agency or motivation to push the plot on his own. He just stumbles upon the mummy's tomb by accident because a member of the society was looking for it. And then he runs away from the mummy because she wants to make a husband out of him.
Me panaches.
What?
And when the story then changes at the midpoint, what's the cause of it? Well, again... yeah, the society shows up out of nowhere to put a stop to the scuffle between the hero and the mummy and takes them both to their base. The mummy has to sit around to watch scientists prepare for testing. Tom Cruise has to stand around to listen to exposition about the place. The main story has effectively been paused in favor of this universe's connector. The threat of the mummy is gone. The hero's burden of doing something about the mummy is gone. The society has pretty much popped in to take over the story.
Excuse me, this is my site. What do you think you're doing?
We'll take it from here.
For comparison, the MCU was much better at weaving the connective tissue in as part of the story. It wasn't really an issue whenever Nick Fury showed up because at the end of the day, his role was always secondary. Yes, Iron Man gets some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to protect his assistant, but he's still the one in charge of the movie. In fact, every time the MCU got in trouble was because the connective tissue grew too large and started to take charge away from the movie. Because the thing is, this isn't tissue uniting the energy of different things. It's a tumor sucking energy away from those things. If there's a secret society who can take down the villain that the hero struggles with, then it's not really a struggle for the hero anymore, is it? If the society has all the universal monsters in their basement, then the power level of those monsters doesn't seem that high anymore, does it? I mean, at the end, there's foreshadowing about the society needing Monster Tom Cruise as their ally.
He could be our greatest ally.
Yet there's no clear reason why. They seem to be doing pretty well on their own. Like, why would Nick Fury need the Avengers if it was shown that he and S.H.I.E.L.D. have already taken down Thanos' cousin by themselves? The only way this could work is if the society was an antagonistic force, if they became the real villain of this universe. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Most of the time they're helping Tom Cruise, and even when they're fighting him, it seems friendly at worst.
You want to put the stone in the dagger and stab him with it?
What? You want to stab him with that? Intentionally?
Precisely.
And overall, this is a crucial lesson to learn for everyone looking to tie a universe together. Whatever you use as the connector of movies, it can never rise above those movies. It cannot pause them, it cannot exceed them, it cannot take charge of them, it cannot make them about itself. The only thing it can and should do is serve them. Because otherwise, what's the point? Why would audiences need a universe of monster movies when one movie series about monster hunters would clearly suffice? The answer is they don't need it or even want it. As a whole, the only good thing about this movie and the Dark Universe is that it will 100% make you go to sleep every time you look at it. But even there, the problem is that nobody wants to look at the mummy every time they want to go to sleep. If only there was something that could do both, help you go to sleep and also make you not see the mummy. Well, there actually is. It's called Manta Sleep, a super comfortable sleeping mask designed to relax you into sleep no matter the place or time of day. It's adjustable to fit everyone, it offers full darkness, it's made out of really soft and breathable material, and there's no pressure on your eyes no matter which way you sleep. They even have a mask that comes with built-in Bluetooth speakers. So, if a good night's sleep or a good afternoon nap without the mummy sounds good, check the link below, because Manta Sleep is sponsoring a 10% discount for all their masks with code FILMENTO, except for the mummy mask, which luckily doesn't exist, just like the Dark Universe.